On their walk to the pool, Wendosen and Síguenos pass along the banks of the river Omo, one of the largest in Ethiopia, more than 1,000 kilometers long. But the same as many other African rivers, it never reaches the sea. The first Western person who proved to have traveled the entire length of it was an Italian named Vittorio Bottego. He proved it in 1897. Since then, and for several decades, few white people dared to go along the river's banks. It was not an attractive territory from the economic point of view, nor were there any routes passing through it that opened the doors to the great geographic discoveries. In recent years, however, tour operators have chosen the River Omo and the ethnic groups living by this river to organize anthropological safaris. Nowadays, the Mursi, the Karo, or the Hammer make regular contact with the outside world. The Karo have not dared to accompany them for fear of the water spirits. Little by little, a group of young people who feel more curiosity than fear get close to them. Wendosen confirms the suspicions that Síguenos already had. The water level of the River Omo is low, and the little water that has arrived has a low content of oxygen. That is the reason for the fish's death, whether the smallest, such as the carp, or the big perch of the Nile, which can weigh up to 100 kilos. One of the chief's youngest sons is listening to the explanations very attentively. Later on, this child will be involved in the difficult task of explaining to the rest of the people that the cause for this death has nothing to do with the lake spirits, but with much more mundane problems. However, the discussion will not end at that point. Some will still back the local sorcerers, while others will prefer to believe in the sorcerer who came from the north. After all, regardless of who is right, there will be just one thing to do: wait.
For centuries, these people I'm working with have not known any advance or innovation apart from that of the clouds in the rain season. Death and common misfortune that regularly affect them are natural circumstances that they must accept with resignation. The concept of progress doesn't exist, and the fact of trying to overcome the illness with foreign magic is an aberration.
In spite of the difficulties that Wendosen has to face, he is determined to achieve his objectives. The most important thing is to get permission to vaccinate the livestock. If in the next 3 years premature deaths decreased by 10%, in no time the number of cattle would be multiplied by 2. Consequently, they could have better nourishment and also would count on better economic resources obtained from the sale of the surplus. Figures do not lie, but the hardest problem they must solve is not to make the numbers work, but others that concern metaphysics more than science. Any small detail, such as an unforeseen death or a bad crop, will be attributed to the new sorcerers, and many months of work will be rendered useless.
Of all the tribes I work with, maybe the Hammer are those whom I feel closer to. I couldn't explain the reason why, but it is so. One of the things I learned in Cuba is the value of community and mutual help. And the Hammer are experts in survival thanks to the triumph of the collective over the individual.
The Hammers are a nomadic tribe with a population of about 30,000 people. They live from the cultivation of sorghum, millet, and cotton, and also raise domestic animals. They are mainly known for their skill in decorating their own bodies and the strong level of symbolism contained in these ornaments. The number of earrings a man wears shows the number of women he owns. The metal necklaces worn by women are obtained when they marry and represent the prestige of the husband. Single women wear a plait woven into their hair. This is a world of coded messages in which Wendosen moves with skill. Bodo, the chief of the village, is the nexus that links Wendosen with the universe of the Hammers. He understands Wendosen's intentions and tries to explain these to the rest of the community. In spite of living on 2 different planets, there exists a strange complicity between them. Bodo does not think that Wendosen's presence represents an insult to the ancient established order, nor to the ancestors' wills. But not everyone thinks alike. Bodo admits that the invocation of the spirits has not served to avoid the death of the cows, and therefore trusts in succeeding with the medicine of the veterinarian. He has had to persuade the Council of Elders so that they accept the examination to be carried out by Wendosen. In the past, he convinced them of the need to vaccinate children against polio, and the results were quite good. All the cows show incisions on the skin that have been made with knives. These incisions form symbolic shapes that are supposed to protect the animal against the evil eye. This time, they have not been effective. Wendosen goes ahead with his examination, knowing quite well that he is being thoroughly observed. For the Hammers, the survival of their animals is not just an economic matter. They are linked to these animals from the very day that they are born. Every child born is baptized with 3 names, his own, and also one of a calf and a kid goat, which were born during those days as well. The Hammer's vocabulary, although not very rich in other aspects, has 20 words to differentiate the colors of animal skins. Wendosen already has his diagnosis and asks for some help to administer the medicines. He knows that the effects will not be immediate, but he trusts Bodo's persuasion skills to convince them to be patient. Luck has been on their side. A goat is born while Wendesen is in the village, and that is a good sign.
Bodo's position is quite difficult. He knows that this is what he must do, but very often this means confronting the rest of the people. For several weeks the cows have been dying, as no remedy has worked to stop this death. Bodo is risking his prestige with me, and if I fail, he will also suffer the decrease of his power within the community. In fact, those who are most against my presence will even prefer to see the cows dead than to accept my assistance.